Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is an award-winning author of over 20 children's books. She's found a way to take her passion for science and make it fun for students to learn and use their imagination. So here to tell us more, we welcome author and chemistry teacher Jennifer Swanson. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, the funny thing is you describe yourself as a science geek. So
Yes, I do.
you need to tell us, I don't know if some of us are a geek. You're a little geeky sometimes. I know you're a little geek in you. I married a geek. So explain to us non-geeks, like, what is so cool about science and how are you communicating that coolness?
Well, I have a presentation that I give kids. It's called The Science All Around You. So my goal is to show kids that science is everywhere. It's in the lights, it's in the table, it's in the materials that we use to make everything. And I think if they understand that science is not scary, but it's everywhere and everything we do, then they get very interested. And when I give that talk, it's really funny because the kids will start saying, oh, well, we went outside and we sweated. That's science, right? Yes, it is. It's smelly science, but yes, it's science. You know, so they start seeing it as something that's easy and fun.
And relatable to their life.
Exactly, to everything that they do. At least that's my goal.
So how did you get a passion for it? Was there a teacher like that with you, or?
There was. But before that, when I was 7, I started a science club in my garage.
You did?
I
What
I
did
was
you
that
do?
kid.
That's awesome.
And my mom gave me a microscope, which I still have today. It was in this wooden box. It's like, 40 years old.
We didn't hear.
But we used to look at things under the microscope, like flowers and grass and whatever. And then the cool thing was when I got to 7th grade, I had a female science teacher, which was very unusual back then. There were not a lot of women who were science teachers. And she was the most exciting person I had ever met. We walked into her room and she had a full skeleton, which I wanted to be a doctor.
I remember that in my classroom too.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing. I mean, she's like, we're gonna learn everything about the skeleton and how it works. And she took us out of the classroom. We had a creek, because I grew up in a very small town. We had a creek, she took us to the creek. We did all these kind of things and I was like, wow, girls can do this? This is awesome. You know, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I had 3 brothers, and my parents never told me I couldn't. So I did everything they did.
And as a teacher, you've got to appreciate the fact that a teacher inspired you. You were inspired. And I will tell you, I took Earth and Space Science, and a teacher talked about plate tectonics, and there were volcanoes under the water, and that has blown my mind.
Yep.
And just a little trivia, if I could ever do it again, I would be a volcanologist.
There you go.
And that's why my husband took me to Hawaii for my birthday. Is we went to see the volcanoes, and we spent 3 days at Mount Kilauea, and it was the most fascinating thing I'd ever done.
Exactly.
So,
see?
you never know when you're going to inspire somebody.
And everybody likes something different about science, and that's what's important. Like the young lady who was here, she loves space.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. But maybe there's people who like volcanoes, or maybe there's people who like plants, which plants are not my thing. But there are people that love plants. So, you know, there's so many different things you can do within science.
But what if you don't have a teacher who's inspiring you, or a friend, or you're not self-inspired to learn science? What can parents do?
Books. No, books are a good place to start because a lot of the nonfiction, particularly the science books, are very different from when we were kids. When I was a kid, they were mostly textbooks. And, you know, it was like reading this thing and, your eyes closed just reading it. Now, we science authors make it our job to make science exciting in books. There's a lot of experiments that you can do. We try and give kids little bits of knowledge because they love that.
And on experiments, you ended up taking chemistry. So how did you went from the microscope to chemistry?
Yes.
Chemistry is a lot of math and symbols and and I think that's maybe what scared me off a little bit from science.
Oh,
was
all
the
those
chemistry
initials.
part of it.
Those initials are a killer.
Well, let me just tell you. I went to the Naval Academy, and the worst class there was electrical engineering, which I had to take. So, everybody takes electrical engineering, an entire year of it, even the what we called the bowl majors, which were the English and history majors. Everybody.
They had to take it too?
Everybody.
And what is electrical?
awesome.
Describe what
Electrical engineering is basically how does electricity work and how does it run through power plants and specifically ships.
Oh, that sounds great.
So that was actually cakewalk as opposed, doing chemistry was better than doing that.
electrical engineering. And so what do you do with this chemistry degree?
Well, let's see. So now I teach as I got my master's degree in K through 8 science education, and I teach online for Johns Hopkins University. They have a gifted program for middle school kids. So I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science, and I have students all over the world, like China, Switzerland, Europe, and I hopefully teach them how science is exciting. And interesting, and hopefully maybe they'll go into science when they get older.
What helps that you have such great personality and enthusiasm?
Yeah.
Because
I love
you can
science.
make any topic terrible if you've got the wrong person
That
teaching
is true.
it.
That is
it
very
is
true. That is
what
very
about
true.
women in science? I mean, you know, you said that you had a female teacher of science, and that was long ago, a little long ago.
Right, okay.
And,
You can say long
and it
ago.
was surprising, but still, even today, I mean, women aren't a great
Dominating
presence
the
in
field,
science,
yeah.
right?
No, they're not.
So, you know, it's still a challenge, I take it, to get young women, young girls interested in science.
It is, and you know, it's unfortunate, but I have been at events where I have seen parents walk past my books, and the girl will try to pick up the book, and they'll go, no, 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 that's a boy's book. And I go,
Wow.
oh my, no, it's not. Please take it for free. So it's still out there. But if you can encourage your daughters, I mean, the young lady before me, she went to space camp.
Yeah.
If your daughter loves science, encourage her to get books, to do any of these robotics clubs, to do experiments at home. You can buy, these days you go into any store, you can get the make-it-yourself robots, right? You can get the lab kits, the chemistry kits. I had those back then.
Yeah.
We actually found them years later. And I was like, I really don't think we should open some of these powders. Like, probably they've been here for like 15 years, dumped under the bed.
Well, Professor, stay with us because we want to talk more about your books after the break and walk through a little bit and kind of showcase what they can offer and what they can teach young people. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. That's a shaka. That's Hawaiian shaka.
No, that wasn't what you did.
That's a Hawaiian shaka. All right, we are back. We're talking still chemistry with chemistry teacher, former naval officer, and author Jennifer Swanson. We've talked about your background and how your passion for science has grown over the years, and it has led you to write over 20 books. So let's talk about how you made that transition from professor to author.
Well, actually, also, aside from being an early science aficionado, I have had journals my whole life.
Wow.
So I have written, actually, I come across some of my Girl Scout ones when I was at Girl Scout camp. They're like from when I was 7. So I've been writing my whole life. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I actually put it together, because I never thought I could write science books for kids. You know, you think fiction picture books, fiction middle grade YA. You don't think science books. And someone said that to me, and I went, oh, yeah, that's me. That's what I'm going to do. So I started writing it, and my first one was about invisible creatures living inside your home. An invisible creature living inside your body.
That sounds scary.
It was cool. It was very cool. And the best part was, during dinner, I would tell my teenagers what I was learning. It was great. They were like, this is disgusting, Mother. Please don't talk about this at the table.
So were these stories that you're speaking of, were these part of what you were journaling about when you were 7?
No, not necessarily. But the journals helped me learn that I like to write.
Okay.
And I like to tell people about things that were going on and things that I found interesting. And that's what was in the journals, observations that I would make about bugs that I saw, or, you know, plants or flowers or whatever.
So talk to me about this phone call you received from National Geographic, the television show. They want to utilize you in some kind of way.
Well, it was
pretty big deal.
it was from an editor at National Geographic.
That's okay.
So I had, what you do is you send them a writing sample of, you know, and you're just like, hey, pick me out of, you know, all these other people. And they picked me, and I was introduced to an editor who said, the first question I got from her was, what do you know? Do you know anything about neuroscience? And
That's the brain, right?
Right. And of course you say yes, because you're dying to write for National Geographic kids who write anything.
And you'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you.
There's the internet for a reason. So they said, watch this TV show. So it's based on the TV show. Have you seen the TV show?
Oh, yeah.
Brain Games? It's really interactive. Like, like, it's kind of like this. There's a person who will come up with a microphone and ask you to do crazy things. And of course, the people do. And then they tell you how your brain works. So we were like, how do I turn that very interactive thing into a two-dimensional book? So what we did was I came up with a bunch of challenges. So this book is filled with challenges. I tell the kids this is not meant to be read sitting down. It's meant to be read standing on one foot, jumping up and down.
Like,
spinning
what are the
around.
challenges? Like, what is
There
it?
are some challenges in here. Okay, so let's see if I can find
It's such a great book. It's so informative. It's like, you know how they have history for dummies, how you can just read in every single page you're reading something. This book is amazing. You will learn something on every page. It's awesome.
This one is, let's see if you can see it. This is the most famous one here, this challenge here. This was on the Today Show.
Okay.
So because it was on the regular show, but it's on the Today Show because it's getting so much press. So if you assume the bus is going to be moving, is it going to be moving to the left or to the right?
This is a trick question.
This is. What do you think?
To the right?
You think it's going to be moving to the left or to the right?
To the right.
Right.
I don't know.
Nope, it's going to the left.
How do you even?
I knew it. I knew it.
How do you? I don't even.
So it's not has nothing to do with the wheels.
Oh, geez.
If in the United States we drive on the right side of the road, so that
Yeah.
means the door to the bus is on the right side. So if it's going to the right, there would be a door. Whoops, right about there.
I knew
So
it was
it
a trick
has to be
question.
going to the left.
I knew it was a trick question.
So that's what this book is. Now,
And we all
this
failed.
book is not to make you feel stupid. It is
Sure.
it is
Never that.
It is to make you think, and then it tells you why your brain is thinking that way and how you think that way and so forth.
So, what type of responses have you gotten from?
Kids love this.
Angelia loves it.
This has been doing really well. And I say kids from 8 to 80 have loved this book because I know people that have said, I'm going to get this for my grandfather who's, starting to have a little bit of problems remembering things because there's some games in here. And it's been doing really well. I've been very excited. I do school visits on it. I was just at the American Library Association conference and I played tons of bring games with all of these librarians and they were very excited. They had the best time.
So you have a book signing coming up. So do tell, and you're also going to be doing some fun experiments there.
Yes, at that signing, I'm actually going to, if I can steal these, I'm going to be talking about two of my new books. This is Super Gear, Nanotechnology and Sports Team Up. It's the science behind all of these amazing sports equipment that we use, like in the Summer Olympics, like the swimsuits that they use, the golf clubs, the tennis rackets, how science is actually a part of that.
Cool.
Even though, the athletes never think about the science, of course.
Right.
And then this book is called Explore Forces in Motion, and this one is about basically how physics works, how things move. So here we're going to be doing some really fun experiments. I was just saying, I have a shaker table where we have the kids build an unbreakable wall. So it's talking about plate tectonics, and then we crank it back and forth so it shakes like this, and then they learn about architecture, materials, building, how things move, how physics works. So we're gonna have lots of experiments for the kids to do.
Are you
in
going
the
to blow
store.
anything up at the book signing?
If they would let me, I might. But I'll have to ask Barnes &
So
Noble.
when and where it is? Barnes & Noble?
It's at Barnes & Noble at the St. John's Town Center on Saturday, July 23rd at 1 p.m.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer.
Sure,
But
thank you for
this was
having
so
me.
much fun. Who knew we were going to have so much fun talking about science? So for more information about her books and, again, some more information about where you can get a signed copy, visit jenniferswansonbooks.com. Stay with us, everybody. The chat will be right back.